And we're live. Welcome back to another Corona Geek here where we talk all about mobile app development using Corona SDK. I'm your host, Charles McKeever. And today we're going to talk about a whole host of things. We've got a full house in the house, and we're going to talk about touch coalescing. What is it? Not 3D rings, but what is that thing called?
Translucent
ring?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go more into it in a minute. But yeah, we got a request for an interesting timer ring. We've already done timers in the past, but this one was an interesting challenge.
Well, I'm glad Jason's on the call with us because it looked very similar to his library, but I think there's some nuances there that you guys can kind of shed some light on.
I'm curious to see it. It sounds like an improvement, and mine admittedly still has some weird issues with, if you're using dynamic content scaling. So I'll be curious to see.
Cool. Well, we've got that. We've got saving data using JSON, possibly doing button states. I don't know. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we may split it up into two shows, but we'll get to as much as we can this week. On the panel with us is Dr. Brian Burton down in Abilene. Staying high and dry and trying not to be washed away by the rain here in Texas. Joining us also is Ed Marina from RoamingGamer.com.
Yeah, that crazy guy.
Eric Kincaid is joining us as well from, is it Lava Level? LavaLevel.com? I think so. Yeah, probably got his mute on. Also joining us is Jason Schroeder from JasonSchroeder.com. And then joining us also is Steven. Steven, do you have a domain?
ShibalbaStudios.com.
Ah, that's why I couldn't remember it. Okay, cool. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. What's that?
It's a Mayan word.
It's a Mayan word. That's right. I have a hard time hanging on to my Mayan vocabulary.
I think Jason has pretty much got us on the, being able to remember the domain. What's your domain? It's my name. I can remember.
Pretty easy. Yeah, right.
How do you spell that? 2 G's or 1 G? Okay.
Well, we've got a couple of announcements here, and then I know that some people on the panel have announcements, so I want to get right to those. But if you didn't get a chance to see last week's show, we recorded Corona Geek 143, which you can find over at youtube.com/CoronaGeek. We talked with Caleb Place, who is the developer of CB Effects. Now, if you haven't heard this guy's backstory, you definitely need to watch that show. I'll give you a little sneak preview, and that is that he started programming when he was 12. He's 15 now. He's created an entire particle effects library and shared it out with the community. He's actually created several different libraries that are vastly impressive. So, go watch that and be inspired by his story. It's really a testament to the fact that you don't have to be a nuclear powered pocket protector, slide rule, or whatever generation of vernacular you understand to do these types of things. I mean, he has taught himself the algebra that he needed for the particle effects library, and he has picked up programming and just taught himself everything. So you can do the same thing. So go watch his story. It's really very inspirational. Also very inspirational is this competition, this month's May Corona Geek Games competition. I tell you what, Jason, I'm just going to declare you the winner.
Woohoo!
As far as I understand, 526 is the high score. I think that's the last thing.
It's a dubious honor.
It's a dubious honor. I tell you what, you first of all, you blew away everybody by beating your own score, by going and posting repeatedly over and over again your best score, beating yourself each time, and then Luis Garcia jumped in there and started giving you a run for the money, and I think he came in at like 299 at one point or 298, and then you came in at like 324, and then he came in at 499 or something, and then next thing I know you're posting 526. So you two were going at it head to head. So congratulations to Luis. Thank you for that, and for giving Jason such a run for his money. But you have earned it, my friend.
Well, thank you, and thanks, Luis. That was fun. It was actually fun to sort of feel like there was a little bit of back and forth there.
Yeah, I felt that as well. I was like, it was amazing. And I tell you what, I don't know if you noticed the screenshots. I know you did, Jason, because you gave us this tip. But all of your screenshots were on iPad, and all of his screenshots were on the phone.
Which, in my mind, makes him more impressive. I tried it on my phone, and it was a bigger target on the iPad. It was easier for me to sort of line those things up. So good on him. I don't know.
You don't know how he did it. Well,
I'll take the win, but
I didn't. You mentioned it in one of the previous Hangouts, and I didn't say anything because I was like, that's kind of your secret sauce. So I'm not going to share it. If you haven't watched the show, you just kind of you don't know. But I figured that was what was going on there. But anyway, congratulations to both you guys. That was incredible high scores. I didn't even think I thought we'd probably get somebody about 50, maybe 60. Not 526. So that's Boom Dots. We played that for May. I don't have another game yet. I'll post it later today. But yeah, so Jason has won himself a $50 gift card, which I'm sure amounts to about a penny per hour of his time.
Not that bad, but I'll say I'm fortunate to have usually on average about 90 minutes in the subway a day. So. Yeah.
I tell you what. Here's what we'll do.
Activity.
Here's what we'll do. You give me $50 and we'll just call it even.
Hey, Charles.
Yes, sir.
Regarding the next game, which you've not selected yet, what we're looking for basically is games that are on both iOS and Android, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, okay. Because we want people to be able to play it on all platforms.
Yeah, we want as much participation as possible. Yeah, and if it's on Windows Phone as well, that's great. But not.
Right.
Is free or freemium a requirement for it?
Not necessarily, but of course, it's having to pay for something is a friction point. So we're just kind of like, well, if it can be free, that's cool too. But I think we played big games before.
I'm a huge fan of Alive, which is a Corona-made game, but I think it's 99 cents. It's on Android and iOS.
Alive?
Yeah, it's by the guys. Something Dog. They're out of the UK. I can't think of their.
Rag Dog? No, not Rag Dog. What's I know what you're talking about.
Big Dog? Stinky Dog?
No. Then their first game, they're a Corona shop, and their first game was. I can't. Okay, I'm just gonna have to look at my phone because it was like orange colored, and it was.
What we can do is we can play that one, and then if we have a secondary, then we can put that up. Well, I think what that does is just kind of gives people a free option and a paid option, and then they can just pick whatever they want.
Laser Dog, that's the name of it. So
Laser Dog.
If anybody watching has not played their games, they make beautiful, really great mobile designed games. I feel like they're really making something that is ideal on a mobile setting, and they're doing it in Corona, and their stuff isn't fantastic.
Oh yeah,
so.
They did Alone.
Yeah, that's the one I was suggesting.
That's the one. You made Alone.
And they got some decent love from Apple on that.
I got it when it was free.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice one, and when we did the desktop Corona desktop support demo, Alone was one of those. So if you haven't seen that, go to youtube.com/CoronaGeek and check out the desktop demos. They're there. They're pretty cool.
I like how they just side topic here. I like how they took the one-touch input concept, but the swiping really, and they it's not linear, so it's more is really a lot more.
Yeah.
You got to play it, but they did a real good job of balancing the input versus the response on the ship, how you steer.
Yeah, it's weird mix of like an endless runner with feels like Gradius, for the old NES a little bit in terms of its aesthetic.
I think you're in the Wayback Machine now. People will be like, Gradius? What's that? Was that an arcade game? Where are you from? NES.
Oh well, at least people remember what arcades were. Another 5 years, it'll be like, what's this arcade you speak of?
That's
no, they get revived by people making arcade cabinets out of like iPads and stuff, though.
Yeah.
I'm still of the mindset. I know everybody has a network-connected console these days, but I'm still of the mindset that there's a market for some sort of place that you can go, like an arcade, I guess, but that has big, comfy chairs and big screen TVs and kicking speakers and all this other stuff, and people can just go and play. Kind console games and stuff, and but have them sort of bigger than life. I haven't seen that. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, except you'd have to get people to bring their own damn controllers, because otherwise your controls would all be wrecked.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's the part that kind of always trips me up is how do you manage the controllers and how do you manage logging into people's
You
accounts?
could do a checkout system where people go to the desk and they check out the controller and they wreck it while they're using it. They pay for it.
Yeah, it's true. And then how would you handle logins? People logging in their account so they can use their gamer tags and all that kind of stuff like that. It just seems like that part would be an administrative hassle. But if you could work that out, I think it would be really really Just make some places.
Your own idea down there, Charles.
Yeah, well, that's what we do, right? We come up with ideas and we find reasons not to do them.
Is Barcade a thing across the country? It's a thing here in New York. There's a couple of them. And it's arcade cabinets, but it's a bar. So you can get a pitcher of beer with your buddies, and it's just loaded with arcade cabinets from the 80s and 90s, and everything's a quarter.
Yeah, we have that here in Austin. It's you go and you get the beer, and then you just don't play the game.